Well, now, within the last half hour, the former Labour Cabinet Minister Patricia Hewitt has said that the National Council for Civil Liberties was naive and wrong to accept the claims by the Paedophile Information Exchange that it was a campaigning and counselling organisation. As the NCCL's General Secretary at the time, she apologised, saying she got it wrong and took responsibility for the mistakes. The admission follows a series of front-page articles in the Daily Mail linking Ms Hewitt, Labour's deputy leader Harriet Harman, and her husband, Jack Dromey, to the group that campaigned for paedophile rights in the 1970s. The paper said the Paedophile Information Exchange was a paid-up affiliate of the NCCL, where all three worked. At the time, Harriet Harman accused the Daily Mail of running a campaign of smear and innuendo, and hit back in a tweet in which she accused the paper of publishing photographs of young girls in bikinis. And now the writer and comedian Steve Coogan, who gave evidence to the Leveson inquiry about his treatment in the press, has joined the row, also accusing the paper of publishing sexualised images of teenage girls. Well, we've requested an interview with the Daily Mail, but they've not made anyone available tonight. We're joined now from LA by Steve Coogan and here in the studio by the writer and columnist Toby Young. Steve Coogan, you know what the Daily Mail's game is. It's to annoy people like Steve Coogan.
Well, they're doing very well in that regard. No, there's a serious point to be made here. Of course, with regard to this campaign against Harriet Harman, whatever the credibility of what they're saying is the fact that there's rank hypocrisy at play here, which is to do with the Mail Online, which actually publishes photographs of children in a way that is appealing to the very people that they claim to be against. This appeal to paedophiles. It's actually sexual gratification that could absolutely appeal to paedophiles. It's young children who they wouldn't be allowed to photograph in this country. They can photograph them in the US, and that's how they get around the rules. And they're basically using those photographs. They can at best be described as creepy. They say things like she's growing up fast, and these girls are as young as 13, and they use this to sell advertising space. It was raised at Leveson. They knew about it. I want to know why they won't apologise for that and why they don't stop doing it. That's the first point. And the second point is the hypocrisy of being associated with bad people. In the 1930s, the Daily Mail complained about the influx of Jewish refugees from Europe. They complained about Lord Rothermere at the time. He didn't share a plane with somebody who supported Hitler. He supported Hitler. And if they're about apologising for mistakes of the past, why don't the Daily Mail come out and apologise for that?
But is it really worth the candle, Steve Coogan? I mean, surely, in a way, ignoring the Daily Mail is a much stronger weapon than bothering to take them up. And it's certainly true that some television programmes followed that issue up. Other television programmes didn't bother with it at all.
No, they didn't bother with it at all, and they should have done. I think the Daily Mail operates like a school bully. Paul Dacre certainly operates like a school bully, and just like a bully, at heart they are cowards. That's why he's not here today on this programme to defend his newspaper's actions, because he can't. In the same way that he didn't when he attacked Ed Miliband. The other week I went to visit the Pope to try and do something for unmarried mothers in Ireland, and the fact they can't get access to information. He rubbished that. He behaves like a bully, and the only way to stop bullies is to stand up to them.
Steve Coogan, for the moment, thank you. Well, let's go to Toby Young. I mean, you do take the Daily Mail seriously, presumably. It is curious that they're asking for apologies from others without apologising themselves. And it's also true, of course, that their website is distinctly saucy at times.
Well, the Daily Mail weren't the only paper to be duped by Hitler in the early 1930s. Virtually the whole of the British establishment was, the Times was, and by the time the Second World War broke out, the Mail was firmly on the right side.
But odd enough, that's not his point. His point was they asked for apologies over the NCCL's relationship with the Paedophile Information Exchange. The point Steve Coogan's just made is they've never apologised for their involvement with supporting Hitler-like operations in the 30s.
Well, I'm not an employee of the Mail. I'm not here to apologise for the Mail, but it does seem to be an important difference between a politician, the deputy leader of a political party, and her senior colleagues being asked to apologise, and a newspaper being asked to apologise for something that was done over 60 years ago.
Well, they're both historic offences, aren't they?
I think in putting it in this context, Harriet Harman and Patricia Hewitt and Jack Dromey versus the Mail. I think we're buying into their attempt to spin this as just another example of the Mail's anti-Labour agenda. And I think,
well,
you know,
isn't the problem actually that Labour did score one on them, and the Mail messed up over Ed Miliband's father and his uncle, and they did definitely want to get one back, probably.
But I think it's spurious to link these two stories. I mean, I think had the Mail uncovered links between three similarly senior Conservative politicians, of course it would be front-page news on the Mail as well. And it's not just the Mail, after all, that's calling for Harriet Harman to give some kind of explanation, to give a better explanation than she has already. And one point I make to Steve, if this is just an example of the Mail engaging in smears and innuendo, why has Harriet Harman said she regrets the links now between the NCCL and PI, and why has Patricia Hewitt said tonight that she admits it was wrong? If it's just smears and innuendo, why are they effectively apologising?
Yeah, well, that is a good point to put to you, Steve Coogan.
They have apologised. So now,
yeah.
Absolutely, and now that they have apologised, let's hear the Daily Mail apologise for its association with and its support for Hitler in the past, the fact that it was campaigning against the influx of Jewish refugees from Europe. Let it apologise for the fact that it bullied Ed Miliband and assassinated his father's character. Let it apologise for acting like the playground bully that it is. Other newspapers, the Red Tops, they wear it on their sleeve. We know what they're about. The Daily Mail masquerades as being interested in news. It's not. It's Paul Dacre's xenophobic, hate-filled agenda that he peddles and dresses up as news.
Steve Coogan.
And Toby Young should know better than to treat them as some sort of legitimate newspaper.
In a sense, Patricia Hewitt has really, to some extent, vindicated the value of the story by actually going a very long way and saying, you know, allowing the paedophile exchange outfit to have any relationship with the civil liberties with the NCCL was naive and wrong. This was mistakes. We got it wrong. I got it wrong, she said. I mean, that is, in a sense, saying this is a story and we ought to apologise, and I have.
Right, OK, absolutely. Now let's hear the Daily Mail do it.
Well, the problem is with the Daily Mail, we've only ever heard once from Mr. Dacre, other than at the Leveson inquiry, and that was on Desert Island Discs, rather a long time ago.
I know,
I'll tell you one thing. I will give £1,000 to a charity of his choice if he'll ever do an interview with me. And I can tell you, we will see pigs fly before that happens. Steve Coogan in Los Angeles, thank you very much indeed. Toby Young, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Now, ending child poverty by 2020 was